I want to bring in now Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright, former senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's campaign in South Carolina, and also attorney and conservative radio talk show host Chandelle Summer. To both of you, welcome. And I want to pick up right on that, what Intel Committee Chairman Adam Schiff, his comments about moving at all speeds in the investigation. Antoine, is there a general consensus that an impeachment vote needs to happen at the end of the year because of this election calendar? And really, how thorough can the process be when you're hoping for that kind of deadline?
Well, I think it's so important for Congress to do their sworn duty to provide oversight and to serve as a checks and balances branch of government to the executive branch. That's number one. Number two, normally I would tell you direction is more important than speed, but I would tell you direction and speed are hand in hand in this scenario because of the politics around what all of this could mean and the implications it could have on 2020. Look, the president is corrupt. We knew that. And now we're just starting to see that play out even more in public.
Yeah, so we see when it comes to matters of national security and all of that, and also having the political timeline as well. Chandelle, I want to play for you the defense here. We're hearing from President Trump's attorney, personal attorney, Jay Sekulow. Let's listen.
Look, the president determines what communications he wants to have and what he believes is appropriate in his communications with another head of state. And by the way, the fact is the White House decided to release this transcript, and they gave it to you all, and they gave it to Congress in an abundance of transparency.
All right, so Chandelle, is that strong enough as far as the defense in your view?
I think the transparency defense is a good defense. Basically, what you've got is a situation where you have bad news. And there's an old saying that bad news needs to be delivered quickly. If they were to wait and hold this transcript back, and then the complaint is released and the investigation begins, and then they release the transcript, which fully corroborates the complaint, I think the damage would be much worse. I think the idea that the whistleblower is dealing with secondhand information or wasn't in the room is a very bad line to take on this. I think it sounds very naive when you have the transcript which fully corroborates everything that was said in the complaint.
Chandelle, let's take a step back for a second. The president admitted on national TV the things that the whistleblower pointed out in his complaint. He admitted that he was seeking dirt from the Ukraine government on his political opponent, Joe Biden. We just saw in the previous segment where the Ukraine prosecutor said he was in touch with the president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, about seeking dirt on his political opponent. What we can be confirmed about is that the president withheld funds to Ukraine who depend on the United States in order to talk to the Ukraine leader and to pressure him for dirt on Joe Biden. And we know there was an effort, which is a clear violation of the statute, to silence the whistleblower. So your defense
Well,
of this
actually, Antoine, I disagree with you. I think that the case against the president at this point is highly circumstantial. There's a suggestion that the president would like a favor, and there's a discussion of military aid, but there's no clear nexus between the two.
You can't say it's a suggestion because he admitted on camera. From where I'm from, we call that receipts. We have them. We can play those things back for you. This is a national security issue, and you would be jumping out of your chair on a Saturday morning if this was Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, and we would be having these same discussions.
All right. Well, let's move forward here. I want to talk about when it comes to this, Antoine, you've got Republicans letting President Trump off the hook for this, but do you see in any way where the House doesn't reach a point of voting to impeach the president and that the Senate doesn't clear him as well? Let's just move forward when it comes to where we go from here.
Well, I think it all depends on what we find out and the information we gather over the next several weeks. You can rest assured if McConnell's Senate will not pass bills that 90% of the American people agree on, like gun legislation, like lower prescription drug prices, etc., you can rest assured they will do everything they can to protect this president. That's why Democrats have to be really careful in framing this as a national security issue and not fall into the politics that the president and the right want to put this in.
All right, Shanna, with that, you have much of this, and we're talking about it when it comes to the memos and the notes, when it comes to the call with the Ukrainian president. Do Republicans think that the White House should not have released them, though?
I don't know whether Republicans believe that in general. Like I said, I think as a defense attorney that that's probably a pretty good strategy to employ. The better strategy, I think, for the Republicans to take right now is to emphasize the turmoil that this will cast the country into if we go through an extended impeachment process. It's probably a futile effort, given the lock-solid control that the Republicans have over the Senate, who will be in charge of determining whether or not the president is convicted or acquitted.
So, Chandelle, we're supposed to
the president should just focus on running the country and the fact that he has other things to do besides focus on this, instead of coming out with silly statements about this is a spy and we need to have a treason investigation or a treason prosecution. Quite frankly, President Trump is his own worst enemy right now.
Okay.
They need to shut down the president and not have him make any statement.
So you're saying ignore corruption is what you're saying? We should.
I'm not saying ignore corruption.
If an impeachment inquiry is used to gather information, intel, with credible leads by a whistleblower that we've always depended on to weed out fraud, waste, and abuse in the system, you're saying to hell with it, we should just ignore it because it relates to Donald Trump. That's what you're saying to me. You're saying ignore corruption. I'm
saying that at this point, there's a very serious and indefensible position that the Republicans have taken, and that is that the whistleblower was not in the room. They can do better by emphasizing the fact that this is going to throw the country into turmoil. We have an election coming up within a year. If the people feel this strongly that this was corruption and that this president was guilty of some type of indefensible conduct, they can vote him out of office.
We have an election coming up.
But this is going to be counterproductive.
We have an election coming up. This is an election security issue. If the leader of the free world is asking a foreign leader to dig up dirt on his political opponent. So, yes, we have an election coming up, but free and fair elections have always been the priority of everyone in this country, Democrats and Republicans. And now you're saying we should just ignore and chill this
Chandelle, last word, 5 seconds, and we got to go.
Well, this is somewhat political in nature, and there's a lot of very similar parallels.
Politics,
we've got Biden making the same type of moves towards the Ukraine, and then we have Hillary Clinton, who sought out a dossier by a foreign government.
We're going to leave it here.
Hillary is not the
run out of
president,
time, as I wish we could continue, but we got to leave it here. Antoine Seawright and Chandelle Summer, thank you as always for both of you having many of these split screen moments back and forth, overlapping as well as that.